this is for people who can't join us. So as a precursor to Native American Heritage Month, the Office of Equity and Inclusion and the Cultural Thursdays program at Central Lakes College is hosting Mr. Kevin Belin, the Navajo Language Instructor at the International Baccalaureate Navajo Prep School in Farmington, New Mexico. And he will be talking with us about the topic of Navajo philosophy and pedagogy for our Navajo people. And I struggled with, do I say our? And then I said, yes, I say our. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Belin. Thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and highlight you and disappear.
Oh, yeah, just greetings, everybody that's here. Let me introduce myself really quick. I just really quickly introduced my clan. So I'm Bitterwater. That's who I am as a person, the Bitterwater people. Now, it may sound funny to you, like Bitterwater, like, oh my God, Bitterwater, like artesian well water. No, it's a clan, and there's so much story that goes behind where that clan originated from, okay? But that's a whole nother lesson later on. Koge are my fathers. They're the Hamus weavers. Kutnes Sufnis are my maternal grandfathers, the Tangled people. Shisha, my paternal grandfathers are the Chiricahua Apaches. I'm from Crown Point, New Mexico, but currently reside in Waterflow, New Mexico. So I'm the Navajo language teacher at Navajo Preparatory School, IB school. I'm also a cultural consultant, and my company is Hashké Hozhó Design and Collaborative. And so that's the seal that you see there. That's our company logo. And I was talking with Tracy a little bit earlier about, you know, all different components of it. And there's a lot. And so this presentation is going to go through the Navajo critical thought process, harmony through ceremonial pedagogy, okay? Harmony, balance, yin and yang, that type of that thinking. So first, I'm going to be talking about and referring to monsters. So inside the chat, if you want to interact with me, what are monsters? Because when I think of monsters, I think of Monsters, Inc. Because, you know, I was pretty young when this movie came out. And so even though I look all old manish here right now, I'm relatively young. But what are some monsters that you know of in your life that you've heard of? Stories, fables, whatnot. So go ahead and use that chat feature. I want to see some responses here. And on the left-hand side, I know there's the boogeyman who comes out in your closet or under the bed, Monsters Inc. too. Yeah, that's what Sully is right there. And so what are monsters? So in the Bilagana perspective, I want to be talking and using the word Bilagana. Bilagana refers to anybody that's Anglo or American, okay? Bilagana does not mean white man, okay? That's not what it entails. So if you hear me say Bilagana, think the American perspective, the American view. Bigfoot is another one. So what are monsters? In the Bilagana perspective, you know, Bigfoot, Monsters Inc., the boogeyman underneath the bed, the boogeyman in the closet, ghosts, demon, witches, Frankenstein, right? Those are monsters. Now, what are some Navajo monsters that we look at? And that's what I want to focus on, okay? So start to shift your perspective from what are literal and figurative monsters to, from my cultural perspective, what do we see as a people as monsters? So we have 6 levels of holistic well-being, okay? Environmental, physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual. So there is 6. At least from our perspective, that sacred number, we have several sacred numbers, and that could be another, Krampus. There could be, you know, there are sacred numbers. That could be a whole nother presentation in itself again. So 2, 4, 6, 5, 7, 9, 10. Oh my God, we can go on. But anyways, environmentally, a person that is growing up in their environment, things that they cannot control, a student, a child's monster might be an abusive parent or abusive parents. They have no control over that. And so having to deal with all those arguments, having to deal with all that pain as a young child, financial hardships, again, it's out of the child's hands, but they have to deal with the repercussions. Family quarrels, dad and uncle are fighting. I never see uncle. I don't know who my uncle is because of an argument that happened before I was born. Natural disasters that have occurred. So let's just say a hurricane, tornado came through. Now we're homeless, okay? Again, something that's out of our control. Toxins, you know, a lot of homes built before was the 1950s, 1960s, whatever, used lead paint. That's a monster in itself. Pollutants, there's a power plant nearby where I live right up here. It recently closed down and I'm grateful for it because what's happened in this area in my community, all of that CO2, all of those gases and whatnot, all those toxins have polluted our lungs. We have countless relatives that are dying from cancers and all of those things, but we don't see the benefit of it because the electricity that's made here goes all the way to Phoenix and Las Vegas. So the people that are gaining the benefits of electricity, we have to feel those repercussions of all the toxicity and pollutants and all the things and environmental hazards. Pandemic right now, we don't have any control over it, but it's a monster. Racism, sexism, ageism, all of these isms we don't have control over. I don't have control over your perspective, but your perspective dictates how I live sometimes, okay? Physical abuse, junk food, alcohol, drugs, firearms. Now, when I say firearms, I know a lot of people, they like to say, well, my firearms, my right, Second Amendment. Oh, that may be true. But how many kids die from that because a firearm was not properly put away, because the key was not put away, because it was lying about? You had the ammunition next to the firearms. And the argument always comes, you know, it's the gun owner's responsibility. Tell that to the parents who lost a child, who lost somebody because of carelessness, okay? So again, that's a monster for us, carelessness. Medication. Some of us require medication. And if we don't child-proof it, or if we don't keep track of it, children or other adults might be tempted to take it and use those for a high or sell or whatever. Tobacco is another, it's a monster. Neglecting your children, sexual abuse, molestation, all of those things, physical monsters. Mental, verbal abuse, criticism, degradation, manipulation, depression, anxiety, learning disabilities, unrealistic high expectations. And I know this is more focused to my students, adolescent age. This is what they have to deal with every day. Somebody somewhere is that monster in their life. Learning disabilities, one of the unrealistic high expectations. Because I was a football star, you have to be a football star. Because we were all state, you have to be all state. And that goes to criticism. Parents think that, you know, they're helping their child, but are they really? Because when you criticize a child negatively, it's going to have long-lasting effects, okay? Emotional, parentified children. This is what's happening on my reservation. Young children from 6, maybe even younger, 6 to 12 years old, they have to be adults because mommy, daddy's working. And the oldest, like myself, at the age of 6, I was cooking, I was cleaning, I was babysitting my little sisters because mom and dad had to work. Now, if I was a lesser person, I would say, you know what, the hell with my mom and dad, they left me, they didn't take care of me, I had to take care of my sisters. But I have to think that now as an adult, they had to do what they had to do for us. And if that meant that I had to take responsibility and be accountable for my sisters and help out my parents, that's that stress that I had to take on myself. But imagine some other child that doesn't understand that. It's going to affect them negatively for the rest of their life. Self-esteem, abandonment, dating, sexuality. Now, in the Belin system of dating, look at this, how we view it. A boy can date multiple girls even at the same time. And what they call him, he's a player. But if a young girl does that, she's a slut, she's a whore, she's all this and that, she's easy. So again, double standards and stuff like that. Death and suicide. Young children don't understand death. Even if you take them to your funeral and you try to describe to them, oh, your grandmother's in heaven. Can a child fully comprehend what that means? Or can a child, if you tell them they're sleeping, they're going to take a long nap? Again, that's going to affect that child, okay? Grief, mourning, parental arguments, divorce, newly married parents. Socially, bullies, workplace hostility. This is probably a big one that we have to deal with now, especially now in this political, this time of politics. Sexual harassment is something that, again, a lot of men aren't taught the way you're supposed to be, a lot of men aren't taught how to be men. Now, there is the other side to it where men are taught to be boys. And we as society continue to validate and say, boys will be boys. Oh, he didn't mean it. He's just a boy. He was immature. Yet on the other hand, for other people, we'll say, I know there's racial injustice in the justice system, right? So, you'll see 14-year-old colored boys boys of color that get life sentences or 30 years, while somebody else on the other hand gets lesser sentences, stuff like that. Cyberbullying is another one that's prominent. And as parents and adults, we don't see it because you're not on TikTok, you're not on Instagram, you're not on any social media platform. And if you are, you're not going to see it because a lot of these messages are intended to delete afterwards, or you can easily delete them. So if your child is being bullied, you will not notice it unless they physically tell you, Mom, look what they're saying about me here. Familial pressures, expectations, images, and there's that cliche, keeping up with the Joneses. We have this image to uphold. You have to meet that expectation, okay? Eating disorder, fad diets, supplements. Oh my God, look at all the commercials that you see out there. They're going to tell you that your body is not perfect. Your body, because you have this double chin, you need this pill. You need this right now. If you don't have the muscles and if your body's failing you, buy this pill from us. Social media, at least if you use it negatively, it is a monster. It really is. Right now, it's beneficial, but imagine how many people are using it, and they're becoming, and it's hurting them on all holistic levels. Spiritual hopelessness, disconnection, fanaticism. Did I say that right? Fanaticism? I didn't understand that word until I had to Google it and be like, oh my God, fanaticism, because we get that a lot around here. Religion and faith pressures. Somebody's telling you, I've constantly been told all my life, you better be a Christian or you're going to hell. And as a Native person, my entire culture, my entire history of since we've met the first Lagana, it was convert or die. Okay, and so that's what we have to deal with, and we're still dealing with that. And manipulation. They're going to tell you, or we've been told, I wish I had my Bible, you listen to this Bible dictates that I'm in charge of you. This Bible here is going to tell me, give me the power and authority over you and over all of the earth. Is that really how it is? Because I don't know. I don't think that way. A lot of people don't think that way. And it might collide with your perspective, okay? But, if it was another Zoom meeting, we could talk more about that. Next one. Oh, here we go. Now, here's this poor little person. It might be you. It was me sometimes at one point. You're laying there in depression, anxiety. Your mind is hurting you. You're crying. You have insomnia. You're taking pills. There's a wall that you can't overcome. How do you get over it? Have you been taught the necessary skills Have you become a resilient person? Some of you are probably thinking, yeah, I mean, it takes me time. It might, sometimes I do fail, but I do, we do that. But imagine everybody else who is here. Now, initially, they're going to cry, right? Their first initial feelings is hopelessness, but then comes anger. And so you have a lot of angry people. Now they're getting mad at that wall. They're trying to break it down. They can't. And so what do? They go elsewhere. Addictions, all of this stuff. Now, I understand that all of us go through issues. We all have our pains. We all have our obstacles, our challenges. Now, some of you guys might have not as many obstacles as others, okay? Look at ageism for the first one. I'm doing very good with virtual learning. Man, I love teaching from home. I can walk off right now and give me a watermelon. I can go to my refrigerator, and when class ends, I can put on Netflix and watch The Office. But is that the same for somebody who's just a little bit older, who's never had to use technology, but it's being forced? Imagine facing those obstacles, one right after another. Now, let's go from 0 to 60. Racial issues. Some of you guys had it really easy. Some of you guys might have even found life hasn't been as difficult for you, or you're complicit with what you have. For me, it's been difficult because, when I get stopped by the police, that officer has his hand on the gun. And some of you guys will be like, well, that's never happened to me. That's happened to me all the time. I get stopped when I go places. You Mexican, go back to your country. I'm like, hey man, I'm Navajo. My ancestors have been here almost 7,000 years. Calm down there, Haas. But again, our obstacles are different from one person to another. Our obstacles from perspectives are different, okay? Maybe some of you guys were given guidance to overcome these challenges and issues. But again, we always think me, my perspective, me. And oh my God, am I hitting on socialism? To think of other people? No, that's me. In our traditional perspectives, me, my family, my clan, my nation. That's how it goes, okay? I have to think for the greater good. I have to make sure that when I'm gathering corn, I have to make sure that I have enough for my family, my mom, my aunts, my uncles, my grandparents. And when I have enough left over and I see somebody struggling, I'm going to go over there and give them corn. That's the values that we have. We help people, not because of I have thousands of dollars, because I have availability, because it's my money and you didn't work hard for your money. That's why you don't have money. Why would a person think that way? So this is what, if you, as many of you guys teachers here, scaffolding. You present a problem to a student and you make it manageable. What do we call them? SMART goals, right? SMART, S-M-A-R-T. Making sure that it's attainable, that it's achievable, all of these things. And then you start to build up to it. So this is the same way as parents. This is what you would do for your child also. As teachers, this is what you would do. And your child will learn that when they overcome a problem, the next problem will come up. They'll be able to overcome it. And another problem, if they have difficulty, guide them, foster those resiliency skills and move on and up. To the point where when they stand in front of a 1,000-foot wall, they're going to know how to challenge that, okay? So that's how it is. Now, back to monsters. Why do people fail? Why do people have a difficult time? And so for us as Navajo people, we have a story. There's two twins that were born in a time of monsters. Think of like Bigfoot. Think of all these monsters that Krampus is running around, and they lived during that time. And so these two hero twins, they grew up and into adolescence, and they wanted to meet their father, so they took a journey to the east. And on their way to see their father, who was the sun so we call him Sun Bearer. He carries the sun across. Sun Bearer had these mighty weapons and armor that the twins can use to defeat the monsters. But they were tested, and the first one was the cliff swallows. These cliff swallows, as the twins were walking around, these birds started to fly in front of them. All these beautiful patterns, they were mesmerized by it. And they were looking, they were entranced, and the cliff swallows were moving. So they started walking, they started going, following it. Finally, one of the twins thought, hey, stop. And they looked down. And right when they looked down, there was a cliff edge. So these cliff swallows almost took the life of these two twins. That's your peer pressure. If you cannot stand up to your peers, if somebody's talking in your office place about hate and you allow it and you're complicit in it, you're just as guilty. Just like how I teach my students. If some student is making fun of another student, you are just as guilty as that person who's bullying because you allowed yourself to be that bully also. Now, peer pressure also is somebody coming over here and saying, hey man, smoke this right here. It is a good one, man. Yeah, this one will really make you feel high as a kite. Smoke this. Or somebody might come over to you and tell, where is my... Imagine this is a can of alcohol. Now, I know in the American culture, alcohol is acceptable socially and whatnot, right? But at least from our traditional perspective, it's not. This is a big no-no. This is something we don't not supposed to partake in. But there are people that are come over here that'll tell you, hey, bro, have one, man. That's okay. Everybody's having one. Here, take it. Take a sip. Take a drink. You'll feel better. Now, this will take your life. It really will if you allow it to. It really will. Now, peer pressure, even though it says peer, a lot of times it's your own family members that will do this to you. Hey, nephew, be a real man. Yeah, Coors Light, that shit is weak. Here, take this tequila, take this. Or if it's in, high refined society, darling, Chardonnay is so overrated. Right? So again, social pressure to do those things. Next one, cutting reeds. And so the hero twins were able to overcome the cliff swallows. They walked a good distance and they came upon a water hole. And that water, there was all these bamboo, these reeds swaying back and forth. And the twins stopped because something told them, hey, that's a dangerous situation. Hold on, let's check. So they scouted and they saw deer walking to it. But nothing happened at first. And the deer, you know how cautious deer are. Deer walked up to the water, drank, looked up really quick, looked around, nothing happened. This deer started drinking more water, still nothing. But then the reeds started to, the leaves became blades and it cut up that poor deer. And the hero twins saw this monster. This is feeling safe in a dangerous situation. And this is something that's difficult to talk about sometimes, but think of a sexual predator. It might be a family member because at least the statistics that I see, generally, sexual molestation cases happen primarily by family members, uncle, aunt, cousin, something. And it's close. I'm not going to say it's never. It's more often family members and not a stranger, okay? And so they make you feel safe. They'll tell you, here's some candy, here's a new toy, here's jewelry, here's this. And then the molestation occurs, the abuse occurs. Think of cases where students have been given pills to inebriate them, or alcohol, okay? They make you feel safe, but then there is that dangerous situation. Also think about like gang mentality. They bring you in, hey, bro, come on over here. We're going to make you feel safe. We're going to protect you. We're going to lay down our lives for you, right? But then later on, you're put in a dangerous situation that compromises your morals, where they tell you, hey, you have to beat up that kid. You have to go shoot that person. So again, they make you feel safe, dangerous situation. Catching cactus is the next one. Open and obvious dangers. My God, I don't know how many times we have to be told these things. Right here, let's just again imagine right here, alcohol. Right here, how many statistics have you been shown that this alcohol leads to, you know, birth defects, can lead to, if you abuse it, you know, so many things negative can happen from it. Look at right now, domestic violence abuse cases. See that they've increased during this time. And again, there's so many factors to it, but people are using this as a coping mechanism. That coping mechanism is a negative one, and now it leads to so many other things. Another one is cigarettes. I don't smoke, but here's a pack right here. This is my expo marker. On it, it even tells you lung cancer. They even showed you commercials. How many times do you have to be shown that warning before you realize it's an obvious danger? A lot of us will not learn until we're sitting there with a ventilator. Wear your mask, wash your hands. And again, some of you guys, it don't affect me. I don't care. I don't care about them. It's me. I'm fine. I don't care. But then you see YouTube videos, you see social media videos, and they're in ventilators. They're in hospital beds, ICU. Please wear your mask. But again, open, obvious dangers. It's a monster. The moving sands, ever-present dangers. Right now, Friday night, tomorrow night, in your town, how many people are going to go out drinking? How many of them are going to go behind the wheel, turn on the ride, and drive home and think, oh, I'm not even buzzed, man. I can make it home. How many people right now are texting on their phone while they're driving? How many people don't have their license, but they're driving? Again, clear, present danger, ever-present danger. There's not a sign over that vehicle coming, drunk driver, right? So again, moving sands, expanding canyons. There's a little crack in the ground. You look at it and you think, oh, that's okay, I can jump over it. But when you jump over it, that crevice turns into a canyon. This is addictions and enablement. It said that at least there's a big old sign near my house. 9 out of 10 people that try meth get addicted the first time. I mean, I looked at the data. I looked at scientific, I looked at scientific documents. I looked at some of the other, academic websites, hospital, and I think it's true. I believe it. But again, who's going to sit there and tell me, I tried it, I never got addicted to it? But again, it's there. And enablement. How many of you guys enable your children to be this and that? You should allow your child to fail, make mistakes. But if you're there, always say, oh, I'm sorry, baby, no, stand up. Those teachers are being mean to you. It's not your fault. You did an A+ job. I saw it. It's those teachers that are the ones, they're meanie poo-poo heads. Let's go over there and sue them. We get that a lot of times, so that's why I'm using that as an example. Next one, swallowing wash. I don't know if you guys have this in Minnesota, but we have washes that fill up during monsoon season. So 360 days of the year, this wash will be dry, bone dry, no water. But those 5 days, it's going to be full with rushing water up to your waist, even up to your shoulder. And so we look at this. It may not be raining here. It may not be affecting here. But in the distance, way over there, it's raining. And that rain is accumulating. But again, you in your little mind, it's not affecting me here. Yeah, it's affecting those guys. Out of sight, out of mind. Why should I worry if it's affecting them? But then as you begin to cross that wash, that rushing water will take you, okay? Clashing canyons. There's a canyon that you will walk up to. You know it's dangerous, but you know you have to get through it, okay? Testing your faith, knowing that you are a good person, knowing that you have done everything possible. You've overcome your demons. You've overcome insecurities. Your faith now will protect you. And as you walk into that canyon, at the last minute, it's going to crush you. But your faith will keep that canyon from hurting you, killing you. And then the last one, the mountain path. Imagine a mountain in front of you. There is a clear and easy path on the right side. If you take it, you're going to get to your destination, no trouble. But there's the path on the left side where you have to go down the canyon, go across the river, go back up the canyon. You have to kind of mountaineer on the side of the mountain. Then you have to go all the way down. And it's difficult. It's long. It's hard. Okay. In your mind, you're probably thinking, well, let's go take the easy way, right? Now, arrogance. I know everything. And you know your teenagers. They know everything, right? You probably, I know everything. You might have that sense of arrogance or entitlement. Right here, I have my degree, PhD. I know everything. Minnesota College, right here, has certified me as an expert. Now, I'm just messing with you. I'm just teasing you guys, okay? Now, the hero twins came upon that path and said, let's take this way. It's faster, it's easier. But an old man was standing there and said, hey, you two, listen to me. Go around and take that difficult path. You'll get there safely, okay? Now, the hero twins, I'm not going to listen to you. You're crazy. You're stupid. And so they kept walking. Now, as they continued on their path, what happened was they started to see wrinkles come up on their skin. They started to notice that they were aging. And they came upon two more elders, and they said, Shiyajasha, wait, my children, my grandchildren, please listen to us. Turn around. If you continue on this path, you're going to get hurt. Turn around, please. And the hero twin said, no, we know better. Again, I know everything. And so they kept walking, and they started to notice they were getting hunched over. They were starting to walk slower. They came upon three more elders. Please turn around. We experienced this. We're warning you right now. Please turn around. But again, the hero twins knew everything. And they started to walk, and they fell over. They couldn't walk no more. But the finish line, the path ended just a few feet away. And these elders all came up and said, why didn't you listen to us? If you go any further, you're going to die, because you took the easy path, and the easy path to obtaining things is not the right way to do things. Think about on those late night infomercials. Do you feel overweight? Do you feel sluggish? Do you feel unhappy with life? Take this pill and you will be happy. You'll lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks. You'll gain more friends. Even though you have a sad face, you'll have a happy face. Now imagine the side effects of all of those things. Are those things true? Because, shoot, I mean, I know better, but imagine how many people buy into that. And so the hero twins were helped up, and they said, we're sorry. We apologize because we thought we knew better. How can we fix this? And the elders, old age, said, turn around, we're going to help you. And you're going to go back, and you're going to go back, and you're going to turn back to your young selves. This time, take the hard path. This is the only time we're going to help you. And you're going to use this story as a guide. So whenever there's the easy path to doing things, don't take it, because there's not ever a story like, let's look at, Google, the CEO of Google, or whatever his name was. He started off in a garage, and there's always these stories of resiliency, transcending insecurities, transcending the negativity. Finally, after years, they get their breakthrough. Not one of them ever said, I took this pill, and man, the millions just started falling. We don't see that. Now, the heroines finally met their father. They got their armor, they got weapons, and they eradicated all of these monsters. Not the ones before, but there was other ones. There was, that's a whole nother story. But they left 4 of them for mankind to help us. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, sleep, lice, hunger, old age. Imagine sleep like this person that's all skeletal in appearance. Lice, this person that's unkept, their hair is bushy, they're dirty. Hunger is somebody that again, look skeletal. They're dying from hunger. Old age, look, think of the Grim Reaper, right? And so that's what image that I see most people think of, but really these four monsters are necessary to having a long and happy life. Some of you guys are thinking like, you Navajos are crazy. No, let me tell you. So the hero twins kept these four monsters because sleep said, keep me alive, spare my life so that the humans will know what sleep is. They need to rest. They need R&R on a holistic level. If they don't get rest, they will die. Either way, if they sleep too much or sleep not enough, they will die. But this is a teaching tool. And so the hero twins said, yes, we'll keep you alive. They said the same thing with lice. We're going to kill you. Lice said, no, 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 no. People need to understand cleanliness, right? Think of the bubonic plague. People poured poop and fecal matter out in the streets. Next thing you know, rats come up. Then people shot cats, killed cats because they thought cats were the demon. Next thing you know, bubonic plague hits. 2 million people later, Black Death. Now, lice. You're going to be judged every day on how you look, okay? I've been in enough hiring committees to understand the subtle, the subtlety in how people will say, that person really did not look professional, right? They're not going to come out and say, oh, he looked as horrible. Who comes to an interview in sneakers and jeans? Oh my God, hippies? And so again, dress to impress. Hunger is another one. If you don't eat well, it can affect your old age. Same thing again. But let me tell you, figuratively, not the little, because a lot of times we think literally. Sleep is the first monster you face every day. This morning, how many of you guys had to hit the snooze so many times? How many of you guys hit the snooze button and thought 5 more minutes? Then 5 minutes later, snooze. Oh, 5 more minutes. And an alarm came on, snooze, 10 more minutes. Eventually, you're an hour late. You wake up, oh my God. And the first thing I say, excuse my language, this is me, oh shit. I wake up and I go around and I say, and I was like, oh my God, I'm late. See, that's the first thing I say. Then lice attacks me because now I know, it's, oh my God, I didn't iron my shirt. Now my shirt is wrinkled. Oh, my pants is wrinkled. I didn't shower this morning. Now I stink. Oh, I don't care to brush my teeth. Oh, I just need to do my hair. I just need to look decent. Then you take off out the door. And then you meet hunger. Now you're on your way to work. You have 5 minutes and you see McDonald's sign. Breakfast, you need to get your iced vanilla, macchiato, frappuccino, whatever. How much sugar was in that? How much has hunger taken you now? Did you eat healthy? How many of you guys can honestly say this morning, you know what? I woke up on time. I got dressed. I saw the birds. I read my book. I made oatmeal. I had a few slices of apples, peaches. I had a lovely breakfast. I didn't. Now, I'll tell you that. I didn't do that. See, I'm not even following my own teachings. Yeah. But that makes me human. Okay. Eventually, you'll meet old age. Now, depending on how you live your life, you'll either fear old age. And I know some of you, when I say fear old age, some of you really dull yourself up. You want to look young. Some of you guys are probably pushing 50, but look 30. Some of you guys, like us men, I don't care. I mean, if I look old, I look like 50 right now. And I know the students tell me that. But again, we fear old age. And in old age, if you didn't live your life properly, there's going to be guilt. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. I should have done this. I could have done this. Why didn't I do it? I would have done this if this wasn't in the way. I would have been a professor right now if this didn't happen. Guilt. Then you start blaming people. Then denial. Then shame. So these are the children of the monsters: depression, anxiety, guilt, blame, shame, denial, animosity. These are those children. These are the feelings that we feel. Okay. I know I'm going through this pretty quick. Now, when the monsters overcome you, this is the Belin system of justice, the U.S. criminal system process procedures. First thing, crime occurs, arrest. Prosecution, pre-trial, charges are filed. Adjudication, arraignment, plea, acquittal, conviction. Then it continues, sentencing. And then it goes to Oh, okay. Changes. Correction of crime, jail, parole, probation, halfway house, community service. And then finally out of the criminal justice system. Now, is this system helpful? Because I'm going to go over in a little bit. Here is the authoritarian approach to justice. The focus is on rule breaking. I Googled this, so you know it's on Google. This is not my information. There is blame and guilt. You are the cause of this problem. You will feel guilty till it's right. There are protocols to a lawful process. You cannot speak out of terms until the judge tells you you can speak. You have 2 minutes. Go. Consequence and punishment. Impersonal process. The needs of both parties are ignored. Okay? The root cause of the issue is ignored. The only thing that matters in the American justice system is that as long as somebody goes to jail, justice has prevailed. Now, mind you, justice may be blind. Maybe she's blind to other things. I don't know, because racial inequality, people of color are sentenced to harsher sentences than people that are white. Now, argue with me. Go ahead. But look at the statistics. Look at how much information is out there. Whether or not you choose to accept them or deny them, it's there. Okay? Because in my county, if you look at the statistics, people of color pay more fees more oftentimes than people that are white, that are pulled over. People that are Anglo, they're given warnings, educational citations. Well, I have to pay the $120 for going 10 miles over the speed limit. And that's in our county, okay? There is statistical data. You can look up that information from San Juan County, okay? Now, the Diné approach, the Navajo way of thinking, and you can look at this, hold on. There's a book out there that you can get. Navajo Nation Peacemaking, Living Traditional Justice. This is where all this information is coming from. Now, mind you, it's been ingrained into our society and culture, but here's the book that you can read about it, okay? So if you want to look it up online, if you want to read it, here is Navajo Nation Peacemaking. There is a program out there, a grant that that we applied for that gives us money for instilling or implementing the peacemaking process in school systems. So you can look that up. Restorative approach to justice focuses on the harm to the individual. Both parties must be responsible for what they've done, okay? There's respectful dialogue and then negotiation. Now, in our language, this is key. In the Navajo language, there is no word for I'm sorry. Now, the reason why I say this is because when Billy hit Sally, now Billy apologized to Sally, apologize, say you're sorry. Then Billy, I'm sorry. Billy, I didn't think you mean it. But then Billy says, Sally, I'm sorry. Right? Okay, everything's good. Sally, you're okay. Now, move on. Get over it. Would you do that same thing to somebody who was recently raped? Would a simple apology, a tearful apology, make that all better? I don't think so. Because to us in Navajo society, in our way of language and culture, I'm sorry does not hold water. It does not, again, excuse my language because I'm passionate about this. It does not mean shit. It really doesn't, because your apology does not repair anything, nor does it repay what has been done, what has happened to me. Interpersonal process, holistic needs are met for both parties. The root crime of the crime is addressed in both the perpetrator and the victim, okay? Then there is peace. We call it kenhaskli, meaning there is family again, kinship. So in the Navajo process, why did that person feel the need to hit that other person? Well, the victim was antagonizing them. Think about your own children. Mom, Jimmy's picking on me. Well, what did you do? I didn't do anything. He just came out of nowhere and hit me. Is that really the case? Because look at your own children and think about that. Who's responsible? Who started it? What is the root cause? Billy probably did not feel he had enough attention. So the best way to get attention, hit Sally. Now he has mom's attention. Billy, why did you do that? Son, you see? Okay. Now, here's our process to it. See, has 6 steps again. Peacemaking is initiated. Now, this is very important, is that I have only 10 minutes left, is that both parties have to agree to the system. Determine the root cause, reframe your mindset, reframe holistic approach. Both parties create a solution, and then finally, long-term and short-term goals, okay? The last two. So this is that pedagogy that I have, that we have, the blessing way teachings. It starts in the east, south, west, north, centered, then forward centered. In the east, there's thinking, planning, action, reflection, guidance, reciprocity, okay? And it goes in a clockwise fashion, that circle of life, that pathway to life. We don't ever go backwards. That's a big no-no for us, okay? And I know most indigenous cultures, most of them will go clockwise according to this pathway of the sun, okay? There are some cultures that go counterclockwise, but they associate that with the water, okay? Last slide. This one, protectionary thinking. This one, we start off in the north, hopelessness. How do we get out of this? How do we get out of hopelessness? Well, first, you got to identify it, okay? You got to identify your emotions. You got to identify your monster. Now you plan for your emotional health. So we jump from north to south. In here is where you plan for your own emotional health safety. You reorientate your own health. And I always use this example because me and my fiance, we started a weight loss program, but it didn't work out for both of us. The way she works out, the way I work out, her diet, my diet are two completely things. Yet we have cookie cutter solutions to weight loss. We have cookie cutter solutions to holistic health, mental health, emotional health. You have to find what works for you. Now you can plan, because some of us will say, oh, next week I'll start this. Monday I'll start this. You know what? New year, new me. New Year's resolution, right? So action, strategic action, daily motivation. I can't motivate you. You have to motivate yourself. You have to seek that motivation for yourself, because I can only help you for so much. You have to seek out your own motivation, because that's what's going to drive you, okay? Then we move forward to center. Here you look for guidance, okay? I know some of us want to look for guidance in the stage of hopelessness, but that's not going to work then. And I always tell students that look for somebody that's truly going to help you, a mentor, not another student, because that's the blind leading the blind. Find professional help. Find somebody that's going to truly help you, okay? Then you go to forward center, optimism. Only then, after all of these things have been accomplished, then you'll feel optimism, hopefulness. Then you move forward to the east. Now, hope, a new day. Everything is in place. Now, I wish we could go more in depth, because that's the whole, that's just an intro. I mean, this is the tip of the iceberg. This is a droplet from that iceberg that came running off. There's so much more that we could go into, but I know we're running out of time. So let me open it up for questions. I know it's a lot of information at once, so. Whew. Some of you guys, your hair is probably like blown away. Like, oh my God, it's a lot of information.
Feel free to add any of your questions in the Q&A if you'd like, or in the chat if that's easier. I have a question, since they're slowly coming, or maybe slow in coming in. When you talk about the center, is there a physical notion with the directions as well, or is that more of a meditative state?
So your center is, there's directions. Most people identify, you know, and most indigenous people, we associate 4, right? East, south, west, north. But we forget below our feet, and above us.
Mm.
And so those are the directions that we have. Oh, here's our question. What was your biggest struggle? Me, my own harsh, critical judgment of myself. Now, mind you, a lot of people have been telling me what I can and can't do, right? But it's really my own insecurities that keep me up at night, or not keep, that have kept me up at night. My own insecurities, me being critical of myself. That's what's kept me, I choose to struggle. That's in our language. That's what we say. I chose to struggle. I chose to be lazy. I chose not to take the initiative. So it's my choosing as to why I struggle. Okay. Now, mind you, there are other situations, you know, where you didn't choose those. That's what the environmental monsters are. But a lot of the stuff, my struggles, is because of my personal, my own critical self. Thank you for that. When did you start speaking to students about all these topics? I knew I was a teacher from grade 2. And I started teaching this during high school because I was seen as a cultural leader at Navajo Preparatory, where I teach now. And there, the school allowed me to really blossom into that leadership role. And so that's where I started. Here's another one. Great information. Thank you. Would you be willing to share another example of restorative justice can be applied in society, perhaps use an example of a case of student misconduct? Now, the only way restorative justice is going to work is if that child buys into it. If that child sees it as the easy option out, they are wrong, because in that situation of restorative justice, they have to identify why they did what they did. Where did that information come from? And it becomes emotional. It becomes difficult for that child to answer that question. And you have to wait, because sometimes some children will be like, my mom is abusive. My mom neglects me. And so it's like, what do you do then? Well, all schools have process, because all schools, you're mandated reporters. So you have to, you know, address that problem. But again, this restorative justice system seeks the root cause of what's happening and correct that for that student, so that they see that, you know, no longer is somebody just sweeping the issue underneath the rug. Oh, you're going to serve one day and that's it. Do you know any organization that have adopted this, to adopt our own Navajo court system? Our own Navajo court system has this process. Now, mind you, we don't use it for somebody that has murdered another person, but we use this not for lesser crimes, but disputes between family members. So like mediation type of stuff, okay? So this is actively used in our Navajo court system.
Okay, are there other questions? Well, I just want to thank you so much for joining us today, Kevin. It was very, you know, it gets you thinking about all sorts of different things, and the way you presented it was great. So yeah, it's kind of sad. I wish you were a colleague and you were teaching right here at Central Lakes College. Maybe we'll steal you and bring you up to Minnesota.
That'd be fun. I love fishing them.
Thank you all for coming today. Next month, we have a Forest View Middle School instructor, Helena Danielson, talking about Tanzania and the things she learned as she was there. So I hope you can join us the first Thursday of November. And once again, thank you so much. I know Mr. Belin is actually teaching in about 10-15 minutes, so it was nice of him to take time away from his day. Now he's really hungry.
Yeah, I didn't eat. That's fine. It's okay.
So any other last comments?
Last thing. Arigato gozaimasu. Oh, yeah, thank you.
We can certainly stay on for a couple more minutes here in case anyone has any last questions.
If anybody, yeah, I mean, can they speak?
You know what? I think I would have to allow them to talk one by one. So if anyone would like to talk, just let me know in chat, and then I will.
Lorraine, Bridden, oh, Gona.
And how do you say thank you in?
Ashahat. Ashahat. So let me put that in here. Ashahat. Ashahat is how we would say that. Thank you. Ashahat. Oh, can we find out more about the sun? Oh, sun bearer. He is the person we designated to carry the sun disk across. Now, mind you, we don't still believe this, but we understand that there, in our stories, there is that place, okay? Now, we also know that the sun will come up every day. We don't make sacrifices, let's go sacrifice Tracy to the sun god so he's appeased and will come up. No, we don't do that. We know that there's this handsome man that carries the sun across, but that kind of person we associate with the qualities and characteristics of Zeus. So just like how you see Zeus, he is a womanizer. He is almighty, his weapons and whatnot, but he's also really imperfect. I don't even know why we gave him the responsibility of carrying the sun across, but he is that person that we entrust with. So that's who he is. Sun bear. No sun bear. There's no sun bears. It's my language. Sun bearer. Is that right? Sun bearer. Yeah.
One last language question, because being a linguist, I like to learn about languages. Do you know other other groups in the Americas that have connections with the language that you teach, or is it very distinct from others?
So we have the Apaches that live near us. You can't just conglomerate. There's several different tribes of Apaches. Jicarilla, Muscalera, Chiricahua, Tonto, White Mountain Apache, Lipan, Kiowa Apache. So all of our languages are considered Athabascan, not the Diné language. And so there's Southern Athabascans, but there's also Northern in Alaska into Canada. And there's also coastal Athabascans in, I believe, Oregon, California, Oregon, okay? Now, at one time, we could understand our language so clearly. I think they call them cognates, right? Cognates. So up until, I believe it was around 1450 to the 1500s, up until that time, our language was so identical that 95 out of 100 words were easily recognizable. So the way we say water, tup, the Apaches say tup, and up in Canada, they say tu, tu, and then I know coastal Athabascans say to, okay? So that all means water, and so our languages are similar in that sense. But since the 1500s, because of the distances that were created between us, our cognates are down to, I believe, like 20 out of 100. And our languages began to adapt and evolve to our region. And so that's what occurred. And so as Navajos, we can understand the Apache people, but for some reason, the Apaches don't understand us very well.
Thank you. It was interesting. Well, if there are no more questions, we're going to let Mr. Belin go. Thank you again so much. I hope to come down and visit the school someday and see your work. Yeah. All right, virtual applause. Yay.
Thank you guys. Yeah, again, one more time. Go on that. I shall see you guys later.
So great to see you. Take care.
Oh, go on that.
I'm going to end the webinar now. I want you all to have a great day and look forward to seeing you at future Cultural Thursdays.